Giancarlo Regni, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Justin. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor to even be on this, so thank you.
Oh, that's very sweet. You and I have known each other. You are part of our local Philly professional kind of mini-series that we're doing on the podcast. We've known each other kind of casually online for a few years now, but never, I think this is the first time we've been able to sit down and have a real conversation.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, I've seen your work online. I'm a fan, and I think you're doing great work. So, I figured since we align, get on your podcast, have a conversation for the first time.
I really appreciate it. And I agree. I think we align a lot. You own G Strength, correct?
That's correct.
I really like the G Strength model. Would you tell people what that is? What is G Strength?
So we do something called small group personal training. In short, that's 6 members with 1 coach. But we don't make everybody do the same workout of the day like your typical group class, boot camp, CrossFit style. So there might be as many as 6 of you in a class, 6 members in a class with 1 coach, all doing different workouts. And we like that structure of doing things because, we'll build out a program template and we'll take that template and modify it to the individual. So it feels like a personal training experience. We're giving everybody what they need based on their goals, their injury history. But, it's a fraction of the price. You're not paying like $100, $200 an hour to work with a personal trainer. So that's why, because we're really, I would say one of the few gyms in Philadelphia really marketing this as like the main thing. We've been able to kind of carve out our own niche and really serve our communities.
I agree. I think you're one of the very few people working like this. And I suspect there's a lot of people listening who this sounds appealing to.
Yeah.
And you are very, is it fair to say you're a pretty strength biased gym?
Yeah. We definitely focus on resistance training. If somebody doesn't move well, first and foremost, we'll focus on that. We'll address that before we load them up. But, often you can do both at the same time. So
Now for someone, if someone is going to be in a G Strength group class, how do they, because I know that you also do, I believe, I've been following you for a while and watching stuff, so correct me anywhere I'm wrong, but my understanding is that your programs are progressive. You're taking people, I don't know if they're cycles exactly, but it seems like things move in waves. Am I close?
That's correct. We have, we'll typically, if everything goes perfectly according to the yearly calendar, we will program in 6-week blocks, and each block will have a theme. That being said, our program has 2 tiers. So we just call them blue and black. Blue is like our beginner program. It's everybody who joins our gym starts there. More foundational, full body every day. It's your goblet squat, push up, kettlebell RDL, that kind of stuff, right? Our black program is just more advanced protocols, more barbell variations. And typically we'll get a little bit more in the weeds with the general purpose or theme of that block. We'll have a hypertrophy block, a strength block, etc.
Do blue and black train separately?
Yes. So not separately as far as the hour goes. Like they'll still show up at the same time, but there might be many different things going on during that hour. So as I was touching on earlier, like there could be 6 people in the class all doing different workouts. But the coaches were, the program template and the coaches are prepared to, to handle that kind of, it sounds chaotic, but it's really not.
I don't think it sounds chaotic at all. I think I have run programs like this where people, exactly, I think never more than 5 or 6 people. Over that, you start, it gets hard to actually coach, in my opinion. Once you get over that, like 6, maybe 7 or 8, depending on what they're doing. But it's hard to get individualized attention with the kind of specific work that you're doing.
It's funny you say that because our Queen Village location about a year ago had to move to 8. So adding that 7th and 8th person, absolutely, it gets harder. And we've just had to staff accordingly, right? It's you have to make sure the coaches you have in Queen Village are ready for that and can handle that kind of, it's just a harder job than 6.
Yeah, for sure. It's a different level of coaching, a different level of understanding those clients. Like having a little more background will help, right? Like the client who you had for 2 years, you're paying attention, but you've watched them do 10,000 reps. You kind of know what's going on. The person who is in their second week likely needs more of your attention.
And I think that's why it works. Our Queen Village is actually our oldest location. So we've had members there that have been with us, 3 to 5 years. So yeah, we know them better. They know our system better. They know how things go. And, less coaching needs to take place than if it was their first day.
we're getting awfully Philly local, but this is for, I live in Queen Village without doxing myself. I have a memory of you having an other location in Queen Village and then moving to your current location. Am I accurate or am I making it up?
Yeah, it's correct. Actually, it's currently a wig shop, and you can see, you would never believe it was a gym, but you can see above it, our sign's actually still there. So it's on the block with Jim Steaks. It's on 4th Street between South and Baybridge. And yeah, you can see our sign still up there. It's right next to UPS. We were there for 4 years. We moved in March of 2018, and it was like 700 square feet. If you don't include the bathroom in the basement, 700 square feet of actual training space. And we got it done in there. People loved it.
And how big is the new location? The current Queen Village location, pardon me.
So I've been trying to figure that out. I think, because landlords and real estate agents always tell you like the full thing. It's like
everyone has a different number.
Yeah. Well, since we have a bathroom, an office, and a basement, like how big is the training space really? So I think it's 1,500.
Got it. And how does that compare to your other locations? We're 3 locations now currently.
Yes. Yeah. And it's right on. Our East Kensington location is about 1,380, which is now our smallest one. And then our Logan Square location that we just opened up is 1,495.
So all pretty close to each other, right? And that 1,500 seems to be a sweet spot.
Yeah, I think so. I like to look for 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, but if you're on the smaller end, it just keeps rent down, which is always nice. Yeah.
It's that line, right? Because especially if you're using barbells with more than one person, suddenly you need, a 10-foot wingspan. If it's a 7-foot barbell and people aren't always so scientific with how they put it up and down, you need a little bit of room. And then how do we put people in? But you also don't want a 5,000 square foot space that is impossible to deal with and fill up.
That's right. Yeah. And I think you have to consider all those things when you lay things out. My team will tell you, I always, I'll try to write up a blueprint the best I can, but when you get in the space, things are always different. They put up the drywall a little differently than they said they were going to. It eats into the space a little bit. Now suddenly you can't fit a rack over there. It gets interesting. And I think at this point I just like the whole game of setting up the room and what equipment to order and how to, make things flow as nicely as possible in a small group session. That's always been fun to me. And, it really tested me with that 700 square foot room. You said 10 feet apart with the barbell. We had to go like 9 feet or something crazy like that. Yeah, it was tight.
10 feet is generous. 10 feet is safe. 10, not that 9 isn't, but like, it's once people are throwing around a 7-foot barbell, it's just different than being on a spin bike, right? Like your footprint is larger.
And everybody has to kind of keep their head on a swivel. It's like there's no snoozing during this hour. You got to be aware of your surroundings.
We're going to teach people how to fail. We're going to teach people how to behave. And that also like installs some, like you end up educating people on some pretty good gym etiquette because you have to.
That was another cool part about it is like, because it was such close quarters, like you had to socialize. You almost like you had to meet people. You had to talk to them because you were likely going to get in their way at some point. So there had to be some conversation had. It was really good for community, which I think some people join gyms with that in mind, but some people don't know they need that until they experience it.
There's definitely people who come to a gym because they want the social aspect. I think it sneaks up on a lot of people. They come because they have X goal in mind, even whether or not that's the real goal. They walk in saying, I just need to fill in the blank. And then as they get into it, they meet people, have friends, and have favorite coaches, and all of those things start happening. That makes it more of a place they really want to be and feel like they belong.
I think that's like an awesome part of owning gyms for me is just like watching the community come together, watching people make friends and hang out outside of the gym. Like our East Kensington location had a kickball team at one point. I know they all hang out together and stuff. It's really cool to see that happen under your roof.
Now, this is something that has come up with everyone I've talked to who runs a group membership, and I've talked to at least 3 or 4 fellow Philly people at all. How do you? It starts with the thesis that I don't believe your culture happens by accident. I think it comes from the top down. So you're talking about having this friendly, supportive community of people who are also doing outside activities and getting it together. How do you foster that? What do you do to make sure that happens? And it's not just the inmates running the asylum or, the three loudest people kind of taking over?
I think from my perspective nowadays, I've actually, it used to be about just running a kick-ass session and then just kind of, fostering relationships during that, getting people to talking about things that are fun and keeping it light. We can do things like ask questions of the day and get people to give their opinions on something stupid. And that's always a good time. But something that I've really leaned into recently, just given my role in the business these past 2 years, I really focus on, just the staff, right? Making sure our coaches are happy, making sure they're, being compensated fairly, making sure that, we're not burning them out, no split shifts, stuff like that, and also making them feel like this is a real career. So I've kind of leaned into, benefits, got, health insurance stipend, got, the retirement plan, continued ed, PTO, all that stuff. I really leaned into trying to make this a career and make this a really positive work environment, because at the end of the day, happy staff and staff retention is going to be the best thing you can do for member retention, which in turn is going to really impact your culture heavily. Like if you see the same people every day sticking around, like there's something to that, right? And you really get to learn a lot about people, and honestly, like the culture just kind of takes care of itself.
Well, it takes care of itself because you're being so purposeful about it. And by the way, that's really close to the answer several other people have given is, well, I make sure, I back up my staff and make sure that they have everything they need. They have some freedom. They are, curious growth mindset people that I trust, and then I trust them. And then they make every session really good. I know these people are going to take care of that. I don't need to micromanage them because I've given them all of these tools to succeed.
100%. And yeah, I think giving them autonomy within the job is really important too. So like because we have that program template, you might see something on the board that just says like squat variation, deadlift variation. They can take a look at the individual in front of them, make the right choice based on, what their biases are or what they know about that client. There's no like, this is the program, this is the way we do it going on. Like they can always kind of step in, provide value for our clients, but also get a little bit more job satisfaction because they're doing work that they believe in.
Is there any protocol for, I'm asking this as a coach just because I'm interested, sure. Is there any protocol for, as a staff, like talking about clients? So I know that, we're talking about like, Sally seems like she's having a hard time squatting. I was doing some heels elevated goblet squats. Tony was doing some safety bar squats. You were doing some kind of other split squat. Should we talk and decide like what we're going to do with Sally so we can progress this because she's having a hard time?
We have 2 coaches per location. So there's not a huge conversation that needs to happen.
Sweet.
So our facility leader and our assistant coach at each location, they will meet on a weekly basis. I mean, at least that's the plan. If there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about. But the structure is that they meet weekly and talk about things like that. But honestly, people end up working with the same trainer more often than you would think, because we have that structure to our schedule. Just specifically in Queen Village, our facility leader Daniel, he works 6 to 11 every day, and he's got those times Monday through Friday. And then our assistant coach Joey, he'll work either 3:30 or 4:30 until 6:30 or 7:30, depending on the day of the week. And then Saturdays 8 to 12. So you see a lot of the same people, and less of those conversations need to happen if you're the only one that's working with that client.
That's really cool. So you were getting a tailored training program, almost most likely applied by the same coach every session.
Exactly.
Because most people are, as 90+% of people come at the same time. Your 6 a.m.ers are always your 6 a.m.ers. Your 5:30 p.m.ers are always your 5:30 p.m.ers. The noon people are a little flaky, but
Yeah, there's some movement for sure, and then there's some people that work with both trainers, and that's okay because they talk, But there's just less that needs to be spoken about when most people are consistent and our trainer schedules are very similar week to week.
And as you said, you're not talking about 11 coaches in a location. You're giving people the hours and support they need to actually make this a career, but that also makes it a smaller pool of full-time people who are actually full-time coaches.
Yeah, I very much subscribe to the less is more mentality. I like that we have a lean staff. We're able to, compensate them very well and like I said, there's that trickle down effect across the board. Happy staff, happy members,
Great results, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Who is, it seems to me, just from social media and passing by on the street, that you have a fairly diverse group of clientele. Like, it's not all 25-something go-hards. It's not all senior citizens. It seems like a pretty diverse mix. Who would you say, if you had to describe what makes an ideal G-Strength client or member?
I think post-COVID, we just decided, like, we're going to lean into beginners, right? We're just trying to help people who don't necessarily know what they're doing in the gym. Maybe they're afraid of the gym. Maybe they're just not comfortable going at it on their own. And we're just going to lean into marketing to and serving, that population. Now, it ends up giving you a pretty diverse group of people, right? Because there might be a 20-year-old that's never been in the gym. There might be a 60-year-old that's never been in the gym. And you just, I think if you had to put a number range on it, we're working with like 30 to 50-year-olds mostly. But yeah, really, like, anybody we can help, anybody who's a beginner that really needs to, get into an atmosphere, an environment that's welcoming and serves beginners well and, sets them up for success, I think is the ideal G-Strength client. We find that strength is kind of like this tide that raises all ships. It's like the best bang for your buck thing to focus on when it comes to exercise, especially with beginners. And then if you're paying to work with a trainer, like, you might as well be taught something. So versus like, hey, adjust the seat to this height and ride for 30 minutes. I'll talk to you in half an hour. It's just a different, from the client's perspective, I just don't know if you're getting the same amount of value, right? So yeah, I would say we just lean into beginners and, whoever that brings in our door.
That's really cool. I mean, especially like such a welcoming, thoughtful, professional environment for someone who's a beginner. That seems like the pressure would immediately be dropped, right? Any gym, if you haven't been in a gym before, when you walk in a gym, I don't care, New York Sports Club or G-Strength or whatever, you're intimidated. It's an intimidating, no matter, I don't care if it's purple, pink, metal, whatever the music is, like, people are worried. You watch their shoulders go up. They go and hide on a treadmill because they don't know what else to do.
Right.
So having that individualization and guidance is really useful. It's interesting that your beginners are, 30 to 50 kind of generally. What kind of help are they usually looking for? Like, why does someone end up walking through your door since they haven't really been training?
So I would say, the big one is injuries, right? Like, maybe they've had a significant injury that was kind of a wake-up call, or they've had a health scare that was kind of a wake-up call, and somebody told them, like, hey, you need to either keep doing your rehab, or you need to finally, like, form a consistent habit of going to the gym and working out 2 or 3 times a week. And they've had this wake up call, and they've looked around and maybe like the commercial gym health club was like a little intimidating. And they found us. They were like, okay, this is a private gym. This is a little bit more, I see that they do small group. There's going to be less people in the room, less opportunity for me to feel intimidated. I'm going to be working with the trainer. So yeah, that makes me feel better about that. And it also makes me feel like they're going to be able to cater to my situation, right? Yeah, I think injury or medical condition or just like some sort of wake up call, like I went to go pick up my kid and I threw out my back and I want to be able to play with them, something along those lines. Yeah, I also will say, just adding off of what we were talking about earlier, I think setting up a one-on-one assessment with new clients kind of tears down those walls a little bit, or at least those barriers to exercise. It's a very intimidating place. So knowing that, you're going to meet one-on-one with somebody, we're going to have a conversation about your goals, and we're going to give you a nice detailed summary of like how the gym operates. We're going to let you know what you can expect when you come in for your first day. Doing all those things, I think, can help somebody who's really never spent much time in the gym consistently get started.
First of all, I completely agree. I will only take on people after we've had, at minimum, a face-to-face consult, and they've given me a bunch of information about themselves, and we're sure that we both expect the same things and want the same things, etc. What does that initial assessment look like? Like, if someone listening to this is like, I didn't even know this is exactly the right place for me. I want to get started, but they're not going to just walk through the door and get tossed into a class on their first day.
Yeah. So we start off with we'll greet them at the door. We'll give them a questionnaire to fill out, have them sign a liability waiver, and then we will talk about the questionnaire. We'll do a little bit of a consultation, have a conversation about their goals, their injury history, things along those lines. And then I like to give them a nice summary of how the program template works. Ideally, we're doing these during a session so they can see it in action while we're talking. But they're not in it yet, so they're not super intimidated.
So you're to the side speaking with the client, but you can motion to a session like, hey, those 6 people are doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I can give the whole spiel about how there might be 6 of you in a group all doing different things, and I'm pointing at 6 people doing different things, so they can kind of visualize what I'm talking about. It's great. And then I like to do a movement assessment. Now, it used to be a lot more detailed. It used to be 12 things, but we found we were just getting in people's way. There was too many things. There was, it involved a lot of me putting my hands on people. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get them ready for their first session, right? Let's pick 4 movements that they might see in their first session or their first week. And let's make sure they can do them without pain safely. And if there's any coaching that needs to take place here, it's a great time to work on their squat form, their hinge. And then they're just a little bit more prepared for day one to be in that group setting. And they might not need quite as much hands-on coaching that first day because we took care of it in the assessment. So we shortened it up. It's really just a goblet squat, a kettlebell RDL, a push-up, and a split squat. And then if they can do those 4 things, they can probably do most movements in our blue program. And if there are any things that pop up, any limitations, we'll make sure we make those modifications. I'll make note of them, send them to the coaches who are going to be working with that person, and we're hitting the ground running.
So they fill out a questionnaire and they talk to you and you get to watch the move. So that's really 3 versions of them telling you about themselves. You get to gather all that information, filter it through and say, and 95% of the time, great, we're probably ready to go. In you go. Is there ever someone who goes through that assessment and you say, actually, time out, you're not going to start in group class. You have to start in one-on-one, or this isn't the gym for you?
I've actually, I think, through the phone call initially, sometimes we end up sorting through that. I've never had to turn anybody away post-assessment, but I have over the phone said things like that, hey, let me refer you to my friend who's a physical therapist, or I'm going to need, some sort of clearance from your doctor before we go ahead and do this. Things along those lines. It's never actually gotten to them coming into the gym and then having to do that. Because quite frankly, if somebody has a hard time getting on and off the ground, we can just modify things. It's okay, we're not going to make you get on the ground too often. It's something we're going to work on, but, I don't want to have you getting up and down 25 times a session if you get dizzy or if that gives you a lot of pain. Let's modify some things. Let's change the template up a little bit. Yeah. No, we really haven't had to do that much.
Because you're screening for those red flags way beforehand. From the first phone call, you're already poking around and making sure that they're going to be a good fit.
Yeah, I remember there was somebody who reached out that said something about bringing their oxygen tank around the gym with them, and I was like, I honestly, I don't think space-wise, I don't feel comfortable with you, doing bringing that into our 1,500 square foot gym. I think it's going to be hard for you, and it's not going to be the right environment for you to succeed. So yeah, I just kind of referred them to another one-on-one trainer. But yeah, that's really those are the big types of things that'll pop up. I think we can pretty much help anybody who reaches out.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
What does with the 3 locations, that's a lot to handle. What is, you said something about your role in the gym currently earlier. What is your role? I know you're the owner, but that as you know, gym owner can mean 200 different things depending on who's wearing the hat.
That's a great question. I joke around with people. I say I'm the gym mascot because I'm this Instagram figure now. I go to our Logan Square location sometimes, and people be like, "Oh, you're the guy from Instagram," and I'll be like, "Oh man, that's what this has come to."
Yes, I'm the paid actor who does all the social media work.
Yeah, I'm just the mascot. But mainly what I do, I would say, is I handle all the marketing. But I don't do all of it. necessarily. Like, we have a social media team. We have a marketing agency that we work with for like Facebook ads and SEO and stuff like that. So I'm not hands-on as much. I'm just kind of like organizing all of it and making sure, you know, it gets out, and I'm organizing our marketing calendar and making sure like we're on track for the year and stuff like that. I would say my main job though is leading the facility leaders. So I'm kind of like this regional manager per se. We have 3 locations right now. But, you know, when we have like 4 to 6, we'll probably hire for a regional manager that will kind of oversee everything that's happening at all the locations. And essentially what that means right now is like just making sure the facility leaders at each location have what they need. You know, just making sure they have support to do their jobs well, right? And making sure they have the staff necessary to, you know, to fulfill the needs of all the members they have. And then, you know, I'll do, you know, funny little things throughout the day, like tighten up equipment and hang up flyers in the gym, or, you know, when a member asks a question that we haven't seen before, you know, like maybe the facility leader doesn't quite know how to answer it, you know, I'll step in, help out with that. Additionally, like if everybody's busy, I'll step in and I'll take some sales calls, and I'll do the assessments when our facility leaders are on the floor coaching. Just to kind of help out, because at the end of the day, it's a team effort. You know, like we're all rowing in the same direction. I'm happy to get in there and help out as long as I'm in Philly.
You said 4 to 6 locations. Is that the goal? Is there a?
Yeah, I think so. No, we're just kind of hitting our stride. Like this 3rd location really, it confirms for me that like we have a great model and it works, and we can really do this. Because it just went so well. Like this, we opened in January, and we ended up, you know, I think last time I checked, we have about 70 members, and you know, for a small gym like us, that's awesome, right? So it just gave me the confidence to like chase this, and like, all right, let's put one of these in every neighborhood in Philly that, you know, that can support it. And you know, I'm eyeing up Northern Liberties for number 4. And I'm not sure about 5 and 6. My wife is actually due with our 2nd child in October, so I'm probably going to chill for a little bit.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Probably going to chill for a little bit, make sure, you know, I can be there for my family, and I'm not, you know, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, opening more locations. But yeah, after that, I'm thinking like late 2025, we'll probably open 5 and then 6 shortly after. Some in maybe like Grad Hospital, East Passyunk, University City.
You say 70 members at Logan Square now?
Yeah.
Were any of those transfers from other locations? Were they all new members?
Yeah, I think there's about 10 transfers, and that happens. It's okay. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, we're just, you know, helping our members make fitness a little bit more convenient.
I've talked to other group fitness owners who actually like that. When they open another location, you know, they don't want a lot. We're not trying to cannibalize one,
right?
But a small segment comes over who like gets it, and they understand the culture, and they know the coaches, and they trust the system. And having a couple of those people around is really useful for all the new folks.
Oh, it's so nice, because I think some of my other friends in the industry, they'll like open up with 70 members. They'll like pre-sale it and open up with 70 members. And the thought of having 70 new people in the room, or not in the room at the same time, but like every class being 6 people that have never experienced your gym before or have no idea how it works, and with 6 people all doing different things potentially, that can get crazy. So that helps a lot. That helps a lot. And I mean, with Logan Square, we got to like 20 members in the pre-sale. I mean, we just decided, let's just open, like, let's just not make this harder than it needs to be on our coaches. You know, we can just kind of slow cook things, add members 5 a week, something like that, and things went really well that way. Because
that's really cool. So you added 50 members in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's, anyone listening to this would be very happy to do that.
I agree. I mean, I'm very happy with that.
I would imagine.
I can't believe things are going as well as they are. I mean, I can believe it, but you know, it's in practice, and you know, when you map it out in preparation for opening a new location, you say things, but you don't really believe it until it's actually happening. So yeah, for things to just go that well, and then it feels like we're just kind of hitting our stride. it just gave me the confidence to keep going.
That's really cool. Is there something you think that sets G Strength apart from other not exact competitors, but there's a million boutique gyms, there's a million people doing some version of we'll get you strong and you'll see results with our amazing coaches. Lots of people say they deliver to varying degrees. What do you think, if anything, if you had to boil it down, sets G Strength apart? Because you're successful, you have this diverse group of clientele, you have full-time professional coaches, you have you're listing things that are making gym owners and coaches out there jealous right now.
I think those are the things that make us different. Because we have those things, right? Because we have full-time staff, because we haven't lost a staff member since 2022, and everybody's full-time, this is their career, this is what they do. They're more invested, they're more interested, and they're just putting a better product out there than somebody who's working, 2 jobs, and they're thinking of, they got 1 foot in the industry, 1 foot out. I think just providing our team clarity on okay, this is the thing, this is your career, and then this is the ascension within the business that you can see or experience, and the having that in place first, and then the program template allowing the autonomy of the coach to kind of take over during the session. It gives you the opportunity to really coach and give our members value out of their experience. Hey, I know you got that shoulder situation going on. Let's do this instead, right? That's one of the best retention tools there is. And as far as giving the members a great result, it goes such a long way. I think a lot of the time we get people that come through our doors I was in this group class and I had to do this, but I felt weird speaking up, so I just did it anyway and it made it worse, right? So how many times have you had that conversation? Happens all the time. And it's unfortunate, but I think the other thing that stands out about us is our model, right? It's the 6-on-1. Not many people in our city are really offering that or marketing it as the main thing. So when you can't afford one-on-one training and you're forced to go to group class and maybe you get injured doing it, just being able to serve that middle as a business has been great for us. And I think that really stands out for people. It's okay, I got this smaller group. I got coaches that can really pay attention to my needs, make sure that I'm doing things correctly, and, make changes on the fly if we need to. So yeah, I think it's just caring, right? It's it's like a system. It's a business that promotes caring about the people in front of you, and everything about it is, it shows that. And that's something that I've tried to continue to build as we grow. It's every decision I make within the business, I want it to be staff and members first, right? So yeah, I think that it's not just one thing. It's just the whole organism, right? It's it ends up, and you just feel it. You just feel it through the service and the environment every day.
Well, and it's really this is a little unfair, but if I had to boil it down, you said, well, it's our values. This is what drives it. It's not the bar, it's not the equipment, it's not the layout, it's not the space, it's not the location. All of those things are important, and all of those things are part of how this works. We were talking, I think before the recording, we were talking about, looking at new spaces and how you kind of, imagine a class flowing in an empty box that isn't set up to be a gym yet. But those values of caring about the members, caring about the staff, making sure people are supported, actually listening to people, being curious and growth-minded, and helping them progress, and while you meet them where they are,
right,
is going to keep moving things forward.
And it's the accountability too. Our coaches dedicate time every week to text people who aren't showing up or aren't showing up as many times as they're supposed to. So they'll get a text from us if you don't show up to a class. It'll be hey, missed you at 8 a.m. Everything okay? Things like that, right? Little things like that are baked into our systems. Oh, wow, this gym actually wants me to show up. Most gyms make money off of people not showing up. This one actually wants me in the gym. That's interesting,
So what a concept.
Yeah, what a concept, right? So yeah, so just going back to everything kind of feeds into, all right, let's make money off of getting people results and taking care of people the right way. Let's not just put them on membership and forget about them. And unfortunately, doing the basics, doing the standard is very low in the fitness industry. So if you can do those things well, man, you are.
It sets you apart in a way that is almost infuriating, because you're like, I want to be doing a better job than I'm doing right now. There's things I'm not doing that I'd like to do, but I'm already somehow in the top 1% because I'm treating people with common courtesy.
Yeah, I look people in the eye, I smile, and I greet them by name. Wow, like that's
To
all it takes.
double back on something you said, I think there's people, you said we're a great solution for, I'm paraphrasing slightly, but people who can't afford one-on-one, but want that individualization. I can also see people who don't necessarily need one-on-one. They're reasonably competent. They have an okay training history. They move fine. And they want that social interaction, like that community that comes with having 5 other people in the room. Even if the movement is a little different, you're kind of all on the same general path moving forward. And I don't know if this is true at your locations, but most of the places I've worked at, like that 6 a.m. class looks pretty much the same. Like the same people show up. These are the 6 a.m.ers. These are the 6:30. This is the 7:30, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, 100%. I think, I mean, I was a one-on-one trainer before I opened my first commercial location. So I was getting to a point with people where, like, you know, either they couldn't afford to come more than once or twice a week, and you know, that's not going to translate well to getting them results in a timely fashion, right? Or they were getting so competent from, you know, working with me for 6 months that it was like, we're just kind of shooting the shit right now. Like, we're just, you know, talking about our weekend and talking about what kind of Ben and Jerry's ice cream we like best, or, you know.
I like you. We're friends, but you don't need me.
Yeah,
I don't think.
Yeah, and I'm like thinking about it, like, how much longer are they going to keep needing me? You know, like, so I think, yeah, the small group model is kind of, it was formed out of, I wanted people to come more often and get better results and be able to afford it. I wanted to build a sustainable business that didn't always need me. And yeah, I also, I wanted to, I didn't want people to feel like I don't really need this anymore. I'm just going to go do my own thing. So I think those people who end up getting super competent, they stay for the programming and the sense of community. And, you know, it's just kind of icing on the cupcake that, oh, someone's always got their eyes on me too, you know, in case I do slip up, or in case I stop showing up as consistently as I was.
Yeah, I think that's a whole nother group of people that are a great fit for what you're doing. And just to pat you on the back a little bit, there's giving your coaches, first of all, making everyone full-time career coaches, and then giving them that autonomy, so here's the framework we're working within, but you're supposed to find solutions for all of these individuals. And we expect you to get continuing education, and we expect you to get better and better and better. There's plenty of gym models out there which don't do that because they don't want the coaches to get really good and go off and be their own coaches or start their own gym or form their own business.
And my mentality towards that is like, I want to treat you so well that you really think long and hard about doing that. like, can I go out there and make as much or get it, you know, have as great of a schedule as I do now if I went and did this on my own, you know, like, and I'm totally transparent about that. I tell that to all my staff. It's like, look, you know, if you need anything from me, just let me know. That's my goal. Like, I want to make this a really hard decision for you.
Yeah, I want you to, you can only coach, make good money, succeed, people fall in love with you, you get to do this. Have you seen all the other stuff I do? Have you seen me hanging up flyers and tightening equipment and all those other things? I don't ask you to do that very often, right? Yeah, that's what working full-time for yourself is like, by the way. Scheduling the plumber to come in because the toilet's overflowed for the 3rd time becomes a big part of your life.
I'll give him a front row seat to this conversation I'm about to have with my lawyer about lease negotiations, which put anybody to sleep, especially trainers. You know?
Sleep or like drive them up the wall with anxiety. I think it's worth asking since you speak so nicely about the people who work for you and support them so much. What makes someone a good candidate to work for G-Strength?
I think, you know, we really home grow a lot of people. So I'm not the best at identifying like what makes somebody special, like through an interview process. What I've done is we've taken a lot of interns from Temple and we run them through like a 12-week internship program that was built out by one of our coaches. And it's really a great way to, you know, learn a lot about a person, right? It's like if they can't show up consistently, if they're not interested when they're here, all right, they're probably not, they're probably not even interested, right? But but we start to, every step of the way, from intern to assistant coach to facility leader and ultimately one day regional manager, we kind of figure out, okay, who's built for that next position? Who's already doing the things that we're going to expect them to do when they have that job? As far as like being a great coach for our business, the things that I see is like, all right, you care, right? And I think genuinely being enthusiastic about somebody's results, results other than your own, and caring about what's going on in that person's fitness journey, what's going on in that person's life. You can't teach those things, right? I find it much easier to hire good people and teach them coaching skills versus the other way around, right? I know this book gets tossed around in the industry all the time, but How to Win Friends and Influence People is a great one. If you do like 50% of the things that are in that book, probably a good fit. And so good people over everything. Like, also, like, I want to enjoy working with you. So if you're an asshole, it's probably not going to work out. And yeah, just being detail oriented is helpful from the facility leader standpoint. If you're a facility leader, being a self-starter, coming with like batteries included, the less I have to remind you to do things, the better from my perspective. But yeah, like I find a lot of the coaching stuff's very easy to teach, and it's more about like finding good people that care about your members is really the main criteria. All the other stuff can be taught.
Comes back to ethics and values yet again.
Ethics and values. You say it much better than I do. I should just start saying that.
Well, the details all matter, but at the macro, you're like, yep, it has to be like, if you're curious and growth mindset and you have a good work ethic, there's a high likelihood that you want to do this kind of work. Then probably not. If any of those things aren't true, then I don't care how good of a technician you are, you're not going to fit.
And I would say growth mindset is very important, but I end up honestly teaching people what that is during the internship program, and all of our staff eventually adapts that. But like from a like hiring perspective, we just kind of sell them on like, hey, all you have to do to be an assistant coach is coach and text members occasionally, show up on time, deliver kick-ass session, have, great soup, and then just make sure your people are showing up, and that's it, right? And it's a full-time position, and then once they get really good at that, it's like, oh, there's more in the business, and you can grow into facility leader and have your own gym one day if that's what you want. But if not, you can just coach, and that's awesome.
And that's fine. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's great. Like, that's what the world needs.
Yeah, I think it often, like, I think in our industry, like, there's too much of people trying to start their own thing, right? Like, when they don't actually know what that means. They don't actually know what starting your own business means. They don't know all the stuff they're actually going to have to do. Whereas, a lot of people in our industry, a lot of coaches are better off just being, it's easier said than done, but being set up in the right environment and just doing the thing that they're good at.
Well, and I think so many are, first of all, almost all of them burn out. There's some shocking percentage of coaches don't make it past 18 months. And then I've talked to so many people who are starting their own business, not because they really wanted to, but because fill in the blank gym was treating them so appallingly and paying them so poorly. They were like, well, I can't do this. I want to be a coach, but this obviously doesn't work. I guess I have to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And if more gym owners took your values and mentality, then it would be easier to have more successful coaches who want to do exactly that and just help people every single day and deliver amazing sessions.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I'm still trying. There seems to be this feeling of like, I don't want to be a personal trainer when I'm 50 mentality, which I get, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, how do I provide a situation within my business that allows people to continue to have a career, as they age. I haven't really seen it done yet. I don't know, have you?
Not successfully, no.
Something I'm working on. I may never achieve it, but it's something I think about.
I mean, I think you're to be applauded for even thinking about it, for having, employees that you see on that track and saying, everything seems fine now, but I'm pretty sure, 3 to 5 years from now, someone's going to want a different challenge, or to not wake up at 4:45 in the morning, or whatever the thing is. And I want to keep this great person because I think they deliver so much value and their values, work ethic, et cetera, align with me. Where can I put them that's going to work? Also, like, be a very useful place to put them for the business at large.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky to have a very young staff, so I do have a lot of time to solve it. But it is definitely something I think about, and I think a mission of mine is, like, I've seen, both in the college and private sector, it tends to not be much of a career, right? So, like, I wanted to create a situation where you can be, you can be a strength coach, you can be a personal trainer, and you can have benefits, have all the things that most careers have, and not have to come home during the holidays and have your family talk to you like you're still doing that hobby,
Still doing that? When are you going to get a real job?
Yeah. What are you going to do for money? Like,
now, a bunch of business owners' ears perked up out there when you said you teach people how to have a growth mindset during their internship. I imagine that's a process. Could you tell me just a little bit about how you approach that? Because there's people who wish they were good at that, at teaching people how to do that.
Now, I'm not always successful. Let me start off by saying that.
Sure.
Like, we are dealing with college kids here. Some of them are checked out during a lot of my lessons. The select few that end up working for us after their internship, I really just break it down to, like, this and that, right? It's like, okay, this is a fixed mindset. This is a growth mindset. I also go into, like, scarcity and abundance a little bit too, and I just kind of give them examples of both. And I can send you the chart I use. I have, like, a little chart in the lesson. And
totally, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, there's like 10 different things. Like, you got fixed versus growth mindset. So, like, a fixed mindset would be that you avoid challenges. Growth mindset would be you view challenges as opportunities. And there's like 10 things like that I just run down the line just to give them real examples, that they may or may not, understand or find applicable in their daily lives. And I don't go too deep into it. I just give them examples. And I'm like, okay, this is how someone with a fixed mindset would approach this. This is how someone with a growth mindset would approach this. And you see why that's better? And then if I can, I'll rope it into how, like, the gym operates and give them, like, a real example. But yeah, that's, and I'm not going to, sit here and act like it always works and it's always heard, but I'm trying. And I think, the best interns end up being really good, fits for our business, and they end up, becoming, so far we have 2 of our facility leaders that were once interns, once assistant coaches, and have grown into the facility leader role and done a really, really great job. So
there's plenty of 12-week college internships that are primarily emptying the trash and making sure the coffee pot stays full and reading in a corner. And you're doing personal development and life skills over here.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think, eventually we got to the point where, like, okay, like, let's prepare them for a career in strength and conditioning. And then I was like, all right, well, not a lot of us really know much about that, right? Like, we just know about working here. So, like, let's, I spent, like, I had a cup of coffee in collegiate athletics, did an internship at Cornell. I don't know anything about that. So let's just use this internship as, like, a opportunity to get them ready to work here. And if they want that, the opportunity is there. If not, that's okay. They learned a lot. They got a lot of applicable skills from being here, or they could have if they paid attention.
And they'll figure out what they don't want to do, which is also useful. The same way you did, the same way I did. Like, oh, I saw a lot of these other places and modalities and realized that's not where I fit. That isn't for me. Other people are going to be happier there. I have 2 more questions if I could. I want to be respectful of your time. There's people listening who would be a great fit for G-Strength, but they've never really done strength training. They're a little scared of it. They've never gone into the free weight section. They certainly haven't touched a barbell. Why should that person come to G-Strength? Why would they thrive there?
I think, just to put it simply, we're going to meet you where you're at. We're going to take you through the free one-on-one assessment, see how you move, have a conversation about, what your expectations and goals are from this experience. And, we're going to figure out where you are today and kind of formulate a plan over time through your feedback and just, like, general conversations throughout the the training sessions to kind of meet you where you're at each day and just gradually progress you from point A to point B.
That sounds like an incredible journey. I love it. And speaking of journeys, that's my second question. Where do you see G Strength 5 years from now? So 2029, 2030.
That's tough. I have a hard time. So we've only been in business since 2018. Like I was a one-on-one trainer from 2016 until 2018. I was working out of my apartment. And then we opened in 2018. So it's only been 6 years business period, really. So just seeing how far we've come in that amount of time. And now I finally feel like in the last year or two, I got my shit together. I kind of have our systems in line. And I think the sky's the limit as far as what we can accomplish. The goal that feels the most real right now is 6 locations in Philadelphia with a regional manager running things, which allows me to, dabble in another territory somewhere else in the States. I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know how soon that's going to happen, but that's where my head's at right now. Like I said, this 3rd location gave me a lot of confidence, and we're moving forward with number 4 in the same year, and we got a great team. We got the right people in the right seats, doing great work. And it just feels like we can, move into most communities and make an impact. And you only really need 100 members to be successful. It's really not that much. We're in a big city like Philadelphia. That's, it's a lot easier than being somewhere with not a lot of people. But yeah, that's my vision. I think six in Philly, and then ideally my family and I, we move a couple months a year somewhere warm and start cranking away at some gyms in that area.
I love it. That's really cool. And just to underline something you said, because from everything people have heard so far, it sounds like an incredible success. And you said you were 5 years in before you felt like you really had systems and things that were really working.
Oh yeah, I did some stupid things looking back. I opened a second location without really having number 1 figured out. We had 2 trainers, 2 locations. And then COVID hit, which felt like an awful thing at the time, but ended up being a blessing from a lot of business perspectives, right? Like it actually gave us some time to reset. Like I was like, okay, we were headed down this road and we had no plan. Like this, the world kind of hit the pause button on us, and it gave me the opportunity to, all right, what sucks? What do we need to change, and what should we change moving forward? And, the pandemic and people not wanting to be in rooms with a lot of people really kind of forced me to move towards that smaller group model. Back in the day, we used to do 9-on-2, so 9 members, 2 coaches, with 6-on-1, which you can, do the math and figure out that that's a better business model. And it just kind of feeds into everything else I've been saying the whole podcast, like, less is more, less is more. And, there was a lot of really positive things that happened from making that mistake of opening a second location before you were ready, and before you really had any systems in place. But yeah. I think if that didn't happen, we might not be where we are today. Yes, it was kind of like a step backwards, and it was like an awful thing that happened. But yeah, I'm grateful for the reset button that it provided.
Talk about using challenges as opportunities.
Yeah. And I'm giving a talk for my mastermind in July, and I'm going to talk about like when COVID hit. I posted this quote. There was like I don't even know if it's true, but it's like the Chinese symbol for crisis has 2 meanings. One's danger and the other's opportunity. And I threw that up there, thinking like, yeah, maybe. And then it ended up really holding true for us. It gave us an opportunity to reset. We hired some great people during 2020, and they're still with us. And it gave us an opportunity to make the business model better, and ultimately just create a better product and get clearer on our vision and clearer on how we're going to do business moving forward. Yeah, it's been a journey, but yeah, it's actually only been 6 years, which is crazy.
That's really cool. You're doing amazing work. Giancarlo Regni, there's people listening who want to get in touch with you. How can they find you online? And if they're in Philly, how would they get started? How do they reach out?
So if you're looking to join the gym, we have our gym Instagram. It's at GStrengthPhilly, all one word. And my personal Instagram is just real GStrength. GStrength was taken, unfortunately. But yeah, those are probably the best ways to reach me. If you ever need anything like a gym owner perspective or looking for a job, feel free to email me at gian@g-strength.com, and I'd be happy to get back to you. I'm not super popular, so I don't get flooded with emails every day.
It won't be weeks.
It won't be weeks, not at all.
That's very cool. We will put all that information in the show notes and the post too, so it should be really easy for people to find. Giancarlo, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Of course, Justin. Thank you for having me.